Rep. Lauren Carson, welcome back to the Newport This Week video podcast series as we continue our discussion on a very important topic, which you are really one of the driving and leading voices on, and that, of course, short-term rentals. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Good to see you today.
Likewise, what's the latest update when it comes to short-term rentals and the commission that is studying this?
Well, the commission's been very active. We started in the fall, and one of the first things we did was we dove into what municipalities have been doing. There's at least 7 or 8 municipalities around the state, including Newport, that have implemented their own local policies and local ordinances. So we took sort of an inventory of all of those municipalities: Newport, Tiverton, North Kingstown, Providence, Narragansett, Jamestown, and the League of Cities and Towns all came before the study commission. That actually took about 3 months to get through that. It took a little longer than I expected. But what we have currently is sort of a mishmash of what different municipalities have done. I have a spreadsheet that down the side has the towns and across the top has the policies. So who has a registration, who doesn't? Who has an inspection, who doesn't? Who has a registration fee, who doesn't? Who has some health and safety requirements, who doesn't? Who has a combination of the above? So that's sort of that's sitting waiting to be somewhat interpreted, so that we can use that to design a baseline of state policies. The next thing that we looked at was we looked at the submission of the taxes, the hotel tax and the sales tax that are placed on short-term rentals is collected by the website and the platform and then submitted by the platform to the Department of Taxation. And in Newport's case, it's submitted directly to Newport. And I have some questions about that. I think that we have to dig further into that. I'm not sure this commission will do that. We've seen cases literally around the world where Airbnb has been accused of not submitting the taxes. Right now, currently, there is a lawsuit in Kentucky with the League of Cities and Towns against Airbnb for lack of remittance. In the case of the country of Italy, Airbnb owes them $700 million in hotel taxes. There's been some behaviors around the world that have led us to think that maybe we need to dig further into that. And that was our most recent meeting, which was about 2 weeks ago today, as a matter of fact. So we have a ways to go. I mean, we haven't looked at health and safety yet, as that relates to fire safety, carbon monoxide safety. The Property Owners Association, they're folks that own short-term rentals. They are going to testify at our next meeting. I want to look at the impact that these rentals have actually had on tourism. So we're bringing the tourism directors in. And there's just a lot of little issues here, Bill, that need to be cleaned up. I think I'm going to be meeting with the House policy staff next week about how long we meet. We may take some short-term steps legislatively and then continue working. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do yet, but clearly there's a lot to study. We're
And
very busy.
in Newport County, we've talked about this before. Mayor Zai has said of Newport that it's ground zero for the short-term rental crisis, if you will, here in the state. And you can look at so many different angles, all the things that you just mentioned. And also here in the middle of the winter, where you have dark houses in
Yeah.
what were once flourishing residential neighborhoods. Now they're just essentially unoccupied micro hotels.
Well, actually we're sharing ground zero, I think, with a few other towns. Narragansett definitely has issues with this. They did come and testify. There's a lot of discussion going on in Narragansett right now, as well as Middletown. Middletown is re-examining their ordinances. So the municipalities are busy. And that's good, but I need to guide the study commission so that whatever state policy we decide on, particularly I think around health and safety and neighborhoods, I think those are the key things that'll be controversial policy coming out of here. The other thing is that, with the registration needs to be examined. I'm going to meet with the Department of Business Regulation, hopefully soon in the next month. They did come in and explain to us how the state registration system works. But we've seen each time a municipality came forward, there would be a variance between how many short-term rentals in that community were on the state list and how many were on the municipal list. So there needs to be a little tighter systematic refinement made between the municipal and the statewide registrations. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like there's 300 registered in Newport for the state, and then there's 900 registered in the town. So like, where's the other 600, right? So we need to take a closer look at that. I think that's maybe a technical fix on the software for logging in, and communication to property owners to make sure they do both. Or maybe we can do both at the same time. But that I don't see as an urgent, controversial issue, but we need to make sure that the municipal databases and the state database are within a small range of variance, not off by 50%.
What's some of the constituent feedback that you've gotten on this over
Well, it's
the
a good question you're asking me. Actually, I just closed my fourth annual constituent survey on Friday. I do that every year in January. And I just downloaded it yesterday. I haven't read it. That was one of the questions I asked Bill. I asked a lot about the impact of short-term rentals in neighborhoods. I asked folks if they thought it was good that they were contributing to the tourism economy. I haven't reviewed those results yet. My constituent meeting will be on March 4th at the Newport Library at 6 o'clock. And there's a variety of other questions that I asked there. And so I'll put a press release out in advance of that with a few teasers about the survey. But I just downloaded the answers yesterday. I had about 130 responses. So I did focus one specific question on short-term rentals with a variety of sub-questions.
Another thing folks can look for is this Thursday in the Newport This Week physical paper on release day, and of course on the website as well, a profile of some of the work you're doing, Rep Carson. Last question in terms
Uh-huh.
of the short-term rentals, do you sense that you're on track and the commission is on track to make recommendations that will have more of an immediate impact, or is this something that we're looking at this from a 36,000-foot view, 10 years from now, we might start to see a real change? In other words, are there going to be laws like New York City had where
I
overnight?
don't think we're going to go that far. I don't see us going as far as New York City. I mean, they really cracked down on this. Property owners want to do this. I think that when we look at, there was a lawsuit that was settled just a few weeks ago in Newport. I don't know if you followed that, where the judge really commented the reliance on using the zoning laws and zoning ordinances seems the path for managing the neighborhood growth. And that, I think, is an area that we will pursue in policy. I think that the Airbnbs and the short-term rentals that are there now, we probably need to grandfather them in. We can't close people down, but I think one policy recommendation will probably be to use zoning the way Newport has and really contain the growth in residential neighborhoods, because that's really frustrating a lot of homeowners. There's no doubt about it. I use the example of Mary and Tom, who've lived on K Street for 30 years and their house is paid off, and all of a sudden next door to them is a rotation of people coming in. And that was not the neighborhood that they bought into. They bought into a different neighborhood. I've even heard of when the Providence Planning Department testified, they told stories of kids from the colleges just renting short-term rentals on a Saturday night with 5 or 6 bedrooms and having parties all night, because they can't, I believe they probably can't drink on campus. There's some rules around that. So, I mean, that's not fair either to neighbors, in all honesty, that next door there's a raging party for, half the weekend. Kids on, yeah, I mean, it's just something needs to be done for neighborhood tranquility and communities. That's there between that, the health and safety, and really exploring the tax remittance. They really are the biggest issues I think we have on our plate right now.
Representative Lauren Carson, always a pleasure. Thanks for your work on this. Look for that
You're welcome.
article in the paper this week, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very, very much, Bill. Have a good day.
You too.